Chapter 5, Teacher, I'm hungry. Zhu Tui had just walked out of the room when Cheng Mo, Tang Ting, and Yu Zeping immediately gathered around him. Yu Zeping was the fastest to approach him. How is it? You took so long that I thought that your genetic sequence had broken down. Cheng Mo grinned. Zhu Tui glanced silently at Cheng Mo. I can last longer than you, can't I? Cheng Mo was speechless. My God, little Tui, you might really become Big Tui now. You have an extra bulge on your head. Zhu Tui did not know what to say. He was too embarrassed to tell them the truth about the bulge on his head. Instantly, countless gazes landed on Zhu Tui's body. The greater the abnormal reaction, the greater the potential of that person was. That was the absolute rule of the genetic exam. That absolute rule was proven by how many people's attention the bulge on Zhu Tui's forehead managed to attract. Yu Zeping was extremely shocked. Cheng Mo looked at the bulge on Zhu Tui's forehead and directly touched it with his hand. Why does this look a little like a swell? I think I've also had this when I was young. Cheng Mo was very confused. Yu Zeping hit Cheng Mo violently on his head. Cheng Mo had a very indignant expression. He was speaking the truth. Can you get a bulge like that after I hit you? Yu Zeping said angrily. There were no changes to Cheng Mo's head. Cheng Mo was speechless. Teacher, maybe you didn't use enough force. Why not try and hit him again? Zhu Tui, who had been silent for some time, finally spoke. Cheng Mo immediately guarded his head and took 3 steps back. He retreated to a safe distance. If he was to allow Yu Zeping to hit him with full strength, he did not know if he would develop any abnormal reactions, but he would definitely have a concussion. Cheng Mo wasn't a fool. Let me see your hand-signed exam slip. The anxious teacher immediately swiped over the exam slip from Zhu Tui's hand. Cheng Mo and Tang Ting also gathered over, extremely impatient. Your ears bled? Priority recommendation to vision type and sound type testing halls? Yu Zeping's eyes instantly lit up. He quickly pushed Zhu Tui toward the vision-related and sound-type testing halls. You should get tested as soon as possible. Zhu Tui did not have the time to exchange information with Cheng Mo, Tang Ting, and the rest of his classmates before he was pushed to the vision-type testing hall by Yu Zeping. Cheng Mo had been called into the room with Zhu Tui just now. Tang Ting's student number was directly after Zhu Tui's, which meant that he should also have been administered with the genetic liberation elixir already. After all, the time Zhu Tui took for the observation phase was too long. Most people only took 5 minutes. The two of them had most likely already completed the tests that determined the direction of their genetic base points, who knew what kinds of genetic base points Cheng Mo and Tang Ting had released. Before they vanished from his sight, Tang Ting's rotund figure suddenly flashed within Zhu Tui's eyes. A thought occurred in his mind. Could Tang Ting have activated the genetic base points at his stomach that? Zhu Tui had gone through these tests before the exam and was familiar with them. About 4 minutes later, the last machine finally printed the report for Zhu Tui. The report consisted of data before the genetic exam and the data after he was administered with the genetic liberation elixir. The difference was clearly labeled. His standard vision score before the exam was 4.7, while his score now was 5.4. No dynamic vision before the exam. No dynamic vision now. No tracking-related vision abilities before the exam. No tracking-related vision abilities now. No X-ray vision before the exam. No X-ray vision now. The results were stated clearly in the test report. Zhu Tui could roughly guess that he did not activate any vision-related genetic base points, even without getting a teacher to look at the report. Signed, stamped, Zhu Tui walked out of the vision-type testing hall, a little dejected. His heart felt strangely empty. To think that he did not have an X-ray vision. Seeing how Zhu Tui was, Yu Zeping could guess what the result was even without looking at the test report. He immediately pushed Zhu Tui toward the sound-type testing hall. Your ear canals bled after being administered with the elixir. There's a large probability that you activated sound-related genes. Don't worry, he quickly added, you would be a superhuman if you managed to roar infrasonic waves in the future. Yu Zeping was very meticulous. He even consoled Zhu Tui. On the contrary, Cheng Mo's expression was a little dull and dejected. The sound type testing hall was a little more complicated than the vision type testing hall, and it tested for more aspects of gene activation. However, every test was relatively quick. The hall was split into two major areas, hearing and speaking. More accurately, it was hearing and roaring. Many students would experience transformation relating to their voices after being administered with the genetic liberation elixir and activated sound-related genetic base points. Other than the basic enhancements to their hearing, some could even directly hear wireless sound waves of different frequencies and even special ultrasonic waves. Some might even be able to produce unique sounds, such as infrasonic waves or ultrasonic waves. The entire testing process was conducted with machines. Zhu Tui got a test report 5 minutes later. The comments of the teacher in charge of the tests were largely similar to that of the vision-type testing hall. Through the overall testing, it is found that the students' sound-related changes are part of the normal overall quality improvement after being administered with the genetic compound chain allele elixir. There are temporarily no findings of any characteristics related to the activation of sound-related genetic base points. It is recommended that the student be tested for other areas. After Zhu Tui got out of the testing hall, Yu Zeping snatched over his test report and had a look, then became a little anxious. He immediately pushed Zhu Tui toward the reflex-type testing hall. In all of the classes that Yu Zeping had brought in the past, he had produced 3 students who passed the double excellence score. Currently, 2 of them have become useless. Actually, they were not useless. It was just... Unfortunately, Yu Zeping's heart felt more and more worried after every test. Zhu Tui's heart sank lower and lower after every test. The reflex-type testing hall that mainly tested him on his reflexes and reaction speed produced the same results as the rest of the halls. The intelligence-type testing hall that tested him on memory and studying abilities also produced the same results. Zhu Tui's face turned a little pale. Yu Zeping's expression also became a little ugly. Don't worry, there's still the mystery branch testing hall. Even though he said that Yu Zeping did not bring Zhu Tui toward the mystery branch testing hall, that was because the mystery branch testing hall could not be entered at will. A candidate had to be recommended by an invigilator. Actually, Zhu Tui had already received the recommendation. Zhu Tui could get tested at the mystery branch testing hall just with this handwritten test slip. However, the premise was that he had to obtain the results of the comparison of his blood samples before and after the administration of the genetic compound chain allele elixir first. Only then could he enter the mystery branch testing hall. They were now waiting for the results of the comparison. However, under such a situation, both Yu Zeping and Zhu Tui felt a little pessimistic. For example, the self-ignition of his hair or setting the things that he touched on fire, etc. The students who had completed their tests gathered around Zhu Tui the moment he walked out. They knew the results without even asking just by seeing the expressions of Zhu Tui and Yu Zeping. There was no way to console them under such a circumstance. There was no next time. This was the only opportunity that would determine the future. They would have an advantage, be it in study or work. Furthermore, Zhu Tui had been administered with a level C genetic liberation elixir. However, the possibility of strengthening his genes in the future would be very low. It's alright. I've only activated 3 genetic base points. That's next to nothing. I've also been administered with a level D genetic liberation elixir, which is not as good as yours, a classmate consoled. Suddenly, Cheng Mo let out a long sigh. You should be content. Anything is better than what I got. Zhu Tui glanced over and saw that Cheng Mo really had a grim look on his face. He could not help but be curious. I activated 11 genetic base points. Not bad, right? Cheng Mo pointed to himself and said emotionally. 11 genetic base points. That was more than decent. That was very good. The fundamental requirement for entering the Jincheng Genetic Evolution College was activating only 5 genetic base points. The requirement for entering the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, a college ranked within the top 3 in the country, was 10 genetic base points. But darn it! Cheng Mo pointed toward his chest and looked like he was about to cry. Of the 11 genetic base points I activated, 7 of them are at the stomach, gathered at the digestive system. Would I become the man who would become the king of gluttons? Cheng Mo looked up into the air and grieved. I don't even eat that much on an average day. I don't even eat a third of what Tang Ting eats. Why must the fat Tang Ting be the one to activate speed and power-related genes? He looks more like the man who will become the king of gluttons no matter how I look at it. Why did it become me in the end? The corner of Cheng Mo's eyes became red as he spoke. His 1.8-meter frame knelt onto the ground. Zhu Tui was silent. Tang Ting was even more silent. He had been mocked just because he was a little plumper. That was why Yu Zeping said that Cheng Mo had basically become useless. The benefits of activating digestion-type genetic base points, especially those around his stomach, were that he could eat more, grow a little fatter, and recover a little faster. It was frequently termed as rice bucket. Yu Zeping felt immense pain in his heart when he thought about how Cheng Mo, a handsome 1.8-meter man, might become a 300-kilogram meat mountain in the future. He felt a strange pain in his heart. Cheng Mo, stand up if you are a man. After all, you've also activated other types of genetic base points. There are still possibilities, Yu Zeping said, hopeful. I'll try my best to help you. I'll ask people I've worked with in the past and research an enhancement direction for you. I'll definitely help you with any troubles you face. Cheng Mo, who had an upset expression just now, stood up abruptly. Teacher, I am facing some trouble now. At this very moment, at this very place. Yu Zeping spoke with a tone that seemed to imply that no trouble was too great. Tell me, I'll definitely help you if I can. Teacher, I'm hungry. As if to complement the situation, Cheng Mo's stomach let out a deafening rumble.